Hey, this is Coach Kinsey Shae. I'm a women's empowerment coach, and Bobby is with me. He's a counselor. Welcome to Exploration. We're basically just raw talk, providing new perspectives in the realm of a coach and a counselor on Generation X. We really talked about which we are in. We really just today want to talk about why Gen X are single. What plays into that? You know, what's your feelings on that, Bobby? You can introduce yourself.
Can I dovetail that a little bit and say, ask maybe why the percentage of Gen Xers are single and what might keep them single?
Yep.
Because you and I were discussing a little bit that the independence, the latchkey, the way that we grew up versus people that are 15 years younger than us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ronald Reagan said it takes a generation to forget, and it really does, because they don't know the walks that we had, the places that we went, the things that we had to do for ourselves to try and just exist. So that carries over into our adult world. And then, you know, a nice, healthy, educated, independent woman has a man come into her life, and it's immediately kind of the Terminator drop-down menu. Like, are you going to meet all of these criteria? And that's not necessarily her fault. It is a built-in defense mechanism. And I don't think, pardon me?
And generational.
And generational, thank you. And I think it's kind of built in, and it's not her fault. It's a mechanism that she has. And to boot, I don't think a lot of men are making the cut. Mm-hmm. So what do you have to say about that? I'm going to set my
I think men and women as a whole, I think we're a little bit gun shy, if you will, with relationships and marriages, because of like the statistics that I have found is like 16% of Gen X women are single. But when I looked up for the same statistics for men, I couldn't find anything. But then
we want to hide that stuff. We don't want to tell you.
I know.
Field.
And then when I looked at like 40 and above, which would be consistent with Gen Xers, it says that, you know, 28% of men are single and 22% of women are single.
Does that seem high to you?
Huh?
Does that seem high to you?
I don't think so, because the majority of the people that I know, that I work with, they are in that reality of straddling, you know, traditional, what they were taught, you know, the husband, 2.5 kids, and being a professional woman. And a lot of men, I've even been told this, what makes you successful in your business makes you a bad partner. I have been told that by men. I think it's not that. I think Generation X women are fiercely independent, because we had to, for my story, I had to take care of myself and my little brother. It was my responsibility. My parents were working, you know, their full-time jobs. So I was the caretaker plus the sister plus, you know, I had to take care of myself. I mean, I can remember at like 6 or 7, and I went to my parents and I'm like, I don't have any clean clothes. And they're like, here's the washing machine. I mean, there was no instructions. There was no nothing. You just, you tried and you learned. So I think we have that fierce independence with inside of us, that we're very self-reliant. And in my case, I was very much in a masculine household. I had all brothers. It was a farming type of community, and you just didn't ask for help. You just mucked the shit and you dealt with it and you moved on. And you didn't anchor to any of it. It was just what was expected. Where you have like the next generations, you know, like 9/11 happened. I think that was a huge catalyst. And then you had all of these helicopter parents, you know, where the kids couldn't walk home from school by themselves. They couldn't do anything by that. They didn't have free space to be a curious child.
I love that you brought in that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I love that you brought in the 9/11 thing, because I do think that that was like a kind of a crease in the page of how we went forward. Yep. And it did exacerbate the helicopter parenting. I think that helicopter parenting has always been there, but I think that when we were kids, you're much younger than I am, but when we were kids, that the helicopter parenting was very less, and they were like the lepers. You know, people just went, what are you doing? My kid walked home from school, made himself a sandwich, and, you know, turned on the crock pot and got dinner ready. Yours did what? You know, they're shocked that these kids can do these things, but that was our everyday. You mucked the shit in the stalls. Like, you had stuff to do before dinner time. You were on a farm, you know. I walked home. I walked 2 miles in the snow both ways. Yes. Okay. Everybody not Gen X, start, you know, bitching. No, I walked literally 2 miles back and forth to school, and I would get home and I would make sure that the laundry was either started or folded or done. And my mom would have a note on paper, pencil. It would written note, like, you know, Bobby, this is what you're going to do when you come home. And I'd have like 2 to 4 things. They weren't horrible. You know, I didn't have to rewire the house, or I didn't have to roof it or anything, but there were some things that I had to do before my mom got home. And I let myself into the house. And we didn't have, like, all of a sudden I was playing Nintendo or anything like that. It's like I had stuff to do.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's key, because that was in my household too. We had lists of what was expected. Not that I'm against lists, but we were solely responsible for the list. Like, we couldn't question the list because there was nobody to question, you know. And even if you did question it, it was like, figure it out. You know, so you had to think out of the box. You had to just work with it and play with it, which I don't think is inherently bad. But I think that we looked for other ways to get attention from our parents, which leads to the people pleasing, which leads to looking outside of ourselves to soothe ourselves. So that leads to a lot. I don't know the statistics on, like, alcoholism, drug abuse, and all.
You're not talking about me, right? You're talking about everybody.
I'm talking about everybody.
Whether you on me there for a second, I'm like, is this an intervention?
No. Anything you look outside of yourself that's not bettering to the better version of yourself, right. Stuff that numbs you out. Like, I used to work out excessively. I used to run like 10 miles. And because the only way I would do that was because it would numb my brain out. So I wouldn't think, you know, so it fell. And even though that is healthy to run, I took it to an extreme to numb out. And that's what I'm talking about when you're doing things to numb out. Whether it be alcohol, whether it be sex, whether it be, you know, there's many things you can fill that void of getting attention outside of yourself. And that's just a worthiness mechanism, you know?
And I love that you said that, because you said a few mechanisms: running, sex, drinking, X, whatever, just fill in the blank.
Shopping.
Shopping. Oh my gosh. I know a few of those, and I've had a few of those as clients. Let me tell you, some of the things that they have said to me, I've been holding my coffee and literally just shaking it, you know, like I had Parkinson's, because I'm like, you spent how much on that purse? You know, I know purses are nice, but wow, that was a lot of money. That's a car.
Right.
It's, when you're counseling, you're doing the same 6 to 10 things all the time. It's just the variables of it are different. I can be dealing with a problem of, we'll call it numbing out to make it easy. But it can be running, but it also could be sex. And that's why I don't pick on women or people that have used sex as a tool for numbing out, because they were literally, just like I said, using it as a tool. They weren't doing it to break somebody's heart. They weren't doing it to get one over. This was just their form of numbing out, and it doesn't make it 100% healthy.
No.
But going back to the independence of it, like we were talking about before, and the latchkeyness of it, the difference between Gen X people and 20 years more shallow of that is absolutely amazing. The introduction of being able to be babysat at the Boys and Girls Club, the amount of video games that came in, the amount of after-school programs that came in. After-school programs? I mean, we had like sports and theater.
Right.
That was it. That was our after-school programs.
Right.
Oh, no, wait. They were doing laundry, mucking stalls. You know, like you said, that was our after-school program. Now theirs was like doing arts and crafts. And look, I colored a bunny. What?
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there really isn't nothing. I think that, you know, we as a generation got really shortchanged in our childhood in some ways. But in other ways, I think it really molded us to be very fiercely independent, that we don't really rely on others to the capacity of other generations. This is just from my perspective and what I've seen. Like even when I was, you know, I was working at a notable hospital system, and all of the RNs, we had to take a class how to work with millennials, how to motivate millennials. And we're like, how about you give a class to the millennials how to work in the workforce? You know, you know, why are we having, so a lot of ways, a lot of Gen X people feel like they're sandwiched in between a lot of things where they're having to take care of, whether it be the baby boomers or whether it be the millennials. So they feel very sandwiched in between a lot of responsibilities. And to couple that, we don't have the luxury of what baby boomers had, in the sense that most of them had pensions. They were still, you know, thriving with the pension kind of workplace compensation. That all way for us, you know. So
it did.
We are, as a whole, in this generation of Gen X, we are less prepared for retirement because
exactly. And one of the things that you may have unintentionally overlooked there, besides the pensions, was that there was, in that time before us, there was a mother at home more often than not.
Yeah.
So that changed the dynamic as soon as you walked in the door. There wasn't that odd sense of independence. There wasn't that odd sense of, I have to make this contribution. And 10 points to you. You just won the show today, I'll tell you, because you brought up that shit about the whole how to work with people or how to work with millennials. What? I just about stroked out when you were telling. I was just keeping my eyeball in my head as you were saying that. I'm like, what? And then having us sandwiched in between this, that did it for me right there. That's the whole show. That's it. You nailed it. I mean, I mean that. You really did, because you have baby boomers, and then you have the Zs and the millennials, or those people. And, you know, we're here and we're just in this kind of an odd, you know, island/leper colony going like, is anybody going to talk to us? Does anybody give a shit at all that we're here? No, you're just going to walk by. Okay. Yeah, that's how we feel. And we tell them what we did, and it doesn't mean as much as baby boomers. When they say something, it actually means something. I'm like, still over here, still living. Hello.
Yeah. And I think that adds to the being single, because we're more apt to be, okay, I'm good alone. I'll just fill my time. I'll do X, Y, and Z. I'll have friends. I'll have, you know, friends with benefits, you know, that I don't have to deal with their stuff. And I'll just keep trucking. And that keep trucking type of mentality was very much born into our subconscious, that auto default.
Beautiful. That is perfect.
Yeah.
That is I'm not joking. That is perfect. It's using things to just fill in. And, you know, you were talking about, I said Tinder when you said, you know, I'm going to use sex to fill in for this. And I don't have to get into their shit. I don't have to get emotional. I can just get the physical release. I mean, hell, again, I reference to it a lot. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yep. It's not a lie. This is the stuff that we need. Meet this, go to the next level. Sex is on there.
Yeah. Well, and another cool fact is like 51% of Gen Xers, they are married. But the thing with Gen Xers, they marry like when they're in college, like their first love in college, and that's who they stay married to. And that was very much me. I got married when I was, you know, in college, and then I got a divorce, and then everything turned on its head. Because I didn't have the 2.2 kids. I didn't have the marriage. I just had my career, which was a powerful career. I was successful as a registered nurse. You know, I was traveling all over. But as a person, I struggled with my self-worth. Am I valued as a person now? Because who am I without somebody by my side? Because I was very much brought up in that realm. So it came to a point where, okay, I couldn't have kids. Then my marriage fell apart. And then, you know, I went in, I don't know the percentage of the women that totally just while out after their divorce, but it's just soothing your ego because you feel the betray, you feel the guilt, you feel the shame, whether you know, and it could be a multifaceted level, meaning it could be religious. I was brought up Catholic, so divorce really wasn't in the cards. It was a sin, you know. As a woman being from middle America, you know, the prime gift of a woman is to give your man a child. I couldn't even do that right, you know, and, you know, so I got into this self-defeating mechanism and I had to soothe that void. And I did, and I have no regrets about it. Some people are like, I can't believe that you're so open about it. But the thing is I was honest in that season. Like when I was in that season, I'm not, you know, trying to say this is what you should do. It's just my journey. But, you know, it's just being honest with the other people. So it's a win-win. Like I was just very honest. I'm like, I don't want a relationship. I have way too much baggage from my past. And you don't need that projection. You don't need that. I just want to feel cared for or nurtured or loved just for the night, you know, or just for, you know, like once a week or whatever it is, and be very clear on that. So, I mean, I'm not telling women that's what they should do. I'm just saying in my journey, I did it. I learned a lot of valuable lessons, which is the journey of life, is learning from your lessons. I learned that I had, you know, a people-pleasing type of mentality. I had, you know, to fill my void with outside things, which I think contributed from how I grew up, because I felt like I had to I had to perform or put on a mask to be noticed. Yeah. And
I love everything that you said.
Yeah.
I do. If I may touch on that, you said something about the whole being a professional, and I'm going to paraphrase these things, but being a professional, having to do this, and then having some needs met and not having to be 100% there or something close to that. You know what I mean? Like I'm just filling a void, again, paraphrasing.
Yeah.
I was writing about this, and I hope that you like this reference, but I call it the protein bar theory, because we didn't have protein bars in the 70s, minus the military. Okay, they had them. But in the late 80s, I remember they came out with a tiger milk bar, and everybody thought it was the greatest thing in the world. It's like, look at all this protein. It's got 6 grams of protein in this bar. I'm going to be strong, you know? And now there's 100 of them when you go to the grocery store, right? But they are there to meet a need. That is not a meal. It is a meal replacement.
Yeah.
Just like what you were talking about. I'm going to have this, this, and this. This is going to replace this for now till I can find this.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. You know, again, goes back to Maslow. Got to meet those needs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a great, that was well touched on. No, sincerely, because we have this independence that comes through us as Gen X people. We can take care of it. And touching on something humorous, you've heard the term man cold, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you that's after Gen X. I am telling you, Gen X men don't get man colds. It's the people after us. We muddle through. Baby boomers, we muddle through. After that, it's like, I have a sniffle. I can't come to work today. What? We didn't have that. We didn't call in sick. We just went. So,
yeah. I mean, like in my early years working in healthcare, I mean, you had to be almost dying to call in sick.
Yeah.
I worked
in radio for years. You did not call in sick.
No.
No.
It was just an absolute no. I mean, it was just like, you are on a contract, you work this many hours, you show up.
Yep.
Like I remember when I was 20, I was working at a well-known department store. I'm not going to say who it is, but I had a funeral and I had to take off the weekend to go. And they go, okay, you're contracted this many hours, so we're going to schedule you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, plus your regular weekend. Okay. And I'm like, I'm going to college. I can't work, and I had to quit the job because they're just like, you either work these shifts or, you don't have a job.
Whereas today, that would be a lawsuit.
It would.
Yeah, it would. It flat out would. I mean, because
in the 90s, no.
No, but people have faked the whole like, oh, my grandmother died and I can't come in this weekend. We've all done it. But if you are a reliable professional and you tell them, look, I have to go to this funeral, and they balk at it, that's not going to work today.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So.
No.
Wow.
No. Yeah. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things. That's why I love doing this, is because there's so many. Our stories all matter. Where we come from all matters. This isn't blame this generation. That's very much the victim mindset. That is not the premise of this at all. We both are Gen Xers, so we're speaking upon Gen X and things that are relevant to this age. I mean, 40s and 50s. Most often we are either in a committed relationship that we've been in for decades, or we're divorced one or multiple times, and we're in a position where we're single. And quite frankly, for my take as a woman, doing the apps for dating is just repulsive to me. I mean, it's because
you're walking right into my wheelhouse.
I know.
Okay.
I mean, because not on the first or second text do I need to see a picture of someone's manhood. I don't need to see that. That doesn't determine my relationship. But that is what you see on I mean, in my experience, I'm not going to say everybody's, I've just gotten to the point where I'm not even on the sites anymore. But whenever I start talking to a man, I'm just like, where are you on your self-discovery journey? If they have no clue, then I know there's nowhere to grow for the most part, and we're just not in alignment. I'll ask, are you willing to grow with somebody? Meaning that, your growth is going to be different at times. You know what I mean? And maybe that's a protection thing for me to not waste my time. But in this time and space, that's where I'm at.
I think that you're valid in what you're saying. You have made me laugh multiple times during this, and I'm just trying to hold my shit together, if I'm honest, because I can just hear a man's head when you say to him, so where are you on your, self journey? Where have you gone on your self exploration? He's going like, I'm just trying to have sex. Why are you asking me these questions? Jesus, you're making this more difficult. I'm already buying dinner. My God. Hello, anybody?
I know.
Yeah. And then, talking about the dating and the apps and stuff like that, you and I are both single, and you and I have done, a ton of research into all of that stuff for things that I'm writing. And, you said disgusting, I think was the word that you used.
Yeah.
And I will underline that because it's very much, you have the ones that are totally disgusting that I won't mention their names, that they're very much swipe left and swipe right, or by location, that is just, trolling for sex. Mm-hmm. And then you have other ones that you get the ones in there that are kind of, you have everything from the women that might be looking for a certain caliber of men that might have more money than others. And you got men that are looking for a certain caliber of women that might be a little older that have more money than others, and I wish we could weed those out. I wish we had like a super professional one or a super ethical one. They've tried, there's some that have this religious connotation to them and so forth, but I've done all of the research. Trust me, most of the people on there are not religious. They might say Jesus or oh Jesus, but it's when they're laying down. Yeah. So I think that's a misnomer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we do have a tough time with that. And I think I told you when we were just talking one time about, I introduced myself to a woman in the grocery store, and I borderline scared her.
Yep.
And I usually come across okay. I don't have that creeper vibe. So I'm like, well, people just don't want to meet people anymore. You have to go to the bar, and I don't want to meet somebody at the bar.
No.
I
think as a whole, and I'll speak for myself, but I would rather meet somebody in a gathering because you can get a lot of data on the person. Like, are they a genuine person? Do they have a good heart? Are they positive? Are they just negative all the time? What happens when stuff happens? Do they get irate, or do they just go with the flow? Yeah. So meeting people online, it's basically everybody that's on there is putting on a mask. They can say anything on that text. They can say anything you want to hear. If they have the goal of getting you to bed, they will say what they need to say to get to that point.
I have a term for that.
What?
It's called a dating resume.
Yeah.
Because how many of us have fluffed a resume? This guy. I have. We all have. If you haven't, you're just not trying. It's like baseball. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. It is a dating resume. You're putting stuff on there to go puff out your chest. Like, hey, this is me. Check me out. And I think that men do it worse than women by far. I think that men are guilty of putting things on there, because if you look at it, if you put a woman up that's 48 years old and put a man up that's 48 years old, and you have how many people have contacted them in 48 hours, for the man, it's going to be 9. And for the woman, it's going to be 37.
Yeah.
So we have to, as men, we have to like go over here, get some flashing lights behind us or something. And men are very guilty of puffing and, making their dating resume more than it really is. So it goes right along with what you're saying. It's like, we're not being true. We're not being genuine. And the genuineness is what's going to get us to the next level.
Yep.
When you ask that person, where have you been on your personal journey? And they go, I don't know, France? What am I supposed to say here? I don't know. I went hiking last week. What can you explain that? You know what? If you have to explain that, we check, please.
Yeah.
Check, please. Yeah, we need to be done.
Yeah. Or I've even asked. I know that there's people. They're either like for it or against it. But I really want to know, like, what their previous journey has been from their perspective. So I'll be like, you know, if you feel comfortable talking about it, like what happened with your divorce? You know, what was it, mutual, or did, you know, what lessons did you learn? You know what I mean?
You're putting out the cheat sheet right there, because I was going to say, so men, let me make this easy for you. When a brilliant and intelligent and worldly woman says to you, where have you been on your personal journey? That's kind of another way of saying, what kind of shit have you been through? What have you learned? And how are you better now?
Yeah.
Just condensed. It's just condensed. That's all it is. Don't panic. Don't go. Mars? I don't know what to say here. God, she's going to leave. Shit. You know, don't panic. Just take what you've done. Take what you've learned from it. Try, don't be fake, but try and spin it in a positive way so that you can show some growth and show where you're going with it. Yeah. You want to turn a quality woman on? I got $1 says that's one way to do it.
Exactly.
You know, it, you know, turned on right here, you know, like in her mind and in her heart, like, whoa, that was really prolific. What he just said, that stuff works. But
to give men credit in some ways, they've been shot down many times by women when they are authentic, in their response. Like if they, you know, they had a rough marriage and they're like, you know, this was hard for me. I felt, you know, betrayed. I felt whatever, but this is what I've done with it. You know, they still do the positive, but they might get a little teary. A lot of women they'll automatically just ghost them, you know, because they got vulnerable. But in essence, that's what we want, is somebody to be vulnerable with. So it's a double-edged sword. So in a lot of ways, when I talk to men, I'm like, I'm giving you permission to be vulnerable because I want to grow with somebody. So if you can't do that now, then it will be an issue later. So I'm not going to beat you down. I might, you know, we might have some play jokes and add some levity to it, but I'm not making fun of you. It's always to rise you up, not to tear you down. You know,
I know we're coming to the end, but I absolutely love what you said there, and I need to add something to that. So I have called that the fence post theory.
Yeah.
Now, you've been out in the country, you've mucked stalls and shit, and so have I. And you know that the barbed wire fence goes forever, and there's those posts, and they're not all the same shape, but you could probably stand on one.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you get with a woman, you are standing on that fence post because you're trying to figure out which way she wants you to lean a little bit. Because if you do become vulnerable, and I have in my past factually become vulnerable with a woman, and I was ousted. I was done. They're like, you know, this guy's a sissy, or this guy can't handle this shit. I'm like, oh no, I was showing myself to you. Sorry about that. Yeah. Did you want to see what I just welded, or, you know, the fight that I got in last week? I mean, what's going to, you know, balance this out?
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to have those ebbs and flows, and those need to be accepted. That's the thing, is what you're talking about. Yeah. You need to accept the ebbs and flows because you're trying to figure out where people are and accept those differences and go, oh, okay, so you were vulnerable at that moment and you were sharing that with me. Let me give you this one that I had with my ex-wife. I said, look, honey, if I go into the bedroom and I'm laying on the bed and I'm going like vertical instead of whatever, the opposite way, I'm laying across the bed, just fully clothed, just laying there across the bed. That is my signal that I want you to stop down and come talk to me. Because I literally am at that point where I can't even get words out now.
Right.
And I would be vulnerable to her. And just, you know, let things out and go, okay, this is what I'm thinking, and this is why the stress level is so high. So that was one of the signals that we had to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, I've used it too. When I say, I'll say, whenever I say I need a hug and I just have this sad face, I don't need you to fix it. I don't need to rehash it. I really just need the energy of your hug. That's all I need. It's not your job to fix it. It's just, I need some soothing. I need some support. And that's my cue when I come to you when you don't know what the fuck is going on. And I'm like, I need a hug. It's not fix it time. It's not Mr. Clean time. It's not Mr. And
again, I hear what you're saying, and I know that you're not picking on men.
Yeah.
But that is that's one of the driving cogs inside of us.
Yeah.
Is to fix shit. It's like, oh, you're crying. What can I fix?
Yeah.
You know, oh, that person hurt you. Who do I need to punch in the face?
Yeah.
You know, it's an immediate, it's like a visceral response that we have.
Yeah. So
men sometimes have to literally just shut that one down, just kind of press it down and hold on to it and listen. Just listen for a minute, see what the person needs. Don't assume, see what she needs, and then we will go from there. So we have to, again, stop that visceral response.
Yeah. It goes, it totally like dovetails into what we've been talking about: communication, beliefs, our own, experiences and perspectives. They all matter. But to navigate it is to live in constitution with yourself, with your own values, and have integrity boundaries for the people that you want to nurture in relationship. I'm not saying you have to be, the boundary machine, in your old life. I prefer living with boundaries.
That's going to be our merch. That is part of our merch. Boundary machine.
I know.
Come talk to me. I dare you.
So I think that's a good place to kind of wrap it up, because I think
excellent.
We went full circle and we went a little over.
We did.
Yeah, but it's all good. We were in good combo and I love it. So everybody that's watching, please put like what you want us to talk about.
Oh, yes, please.
Yes. Put your aha moments, your little golden nuggets, what happened in your perspective. If you got activated or triggered, what did you get triggered about? This is a safe space just to really gain perspective. This isn't a victim or survival type of mindset type of thing. We're looking for creative growth, warrior type mindset where you're curious in the human development, human experience. So like and subscribe, do all that fun jazz. You can find our info if you want to contact each one of us. If you resonated with what we're saying and you want to, we would enjoy that. And we're going to be talking about like what we're doing. And, I just did an international keynote for National Women's Month, international. So that was super powerful. So just link in to our communities and would love to connect and do your comments. And we will have another Gen Exploration next Thursday, 5 Pacific.
I do like this move here.
Yes.
I like that. We should be holding up a cassette tape or something with it. So if you want to know our mixtape, just get a hold of us.
I know that is totally like our generation. That was like, if a boy really liked you, they would give you.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
Give you a mixtape.
I tell you what, when you did our graphic, I burst out laughing.
I know.
I wish it had mixtape on there, but I think we all knew what it meant. So
yeah.
Oh gosh, so good. No, this was a fantastic time. I think this was really well done today, and I believe that the more that people write and contribute, the better that it will be, because we want to hear from you. We want to know what you want us to voice as people that have the experience and professional world that we do. Because, we are better when we're bouncing it off of each other, and then people can feed into that and make us that much better.
Exactly.
Yep.
Who knows where it would go? I mean, who knows? My end goal is to do retreats and workshops. And I mean, I'm already doing workshops, but I really want to serve the community. So please comment.
And you're talking about doing like women's retreats?
Yes.
Good. Well, my goal is to be the pool boy. So there you go. Yeah.
There you go.
I'll probably get some comments on that. So please feel free.
All right. You guys have a wonderful day. Kinsey Shae's out. Bobby out. We will see you next week.
Sounds great. I look forward to it. You're the best.
You too.
Bye.